Hello, Alankrita. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. So let us start.
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay. So can you start by introducing yourself?
Yes. So my name is Alankrita. I was born and brought up in Delhi, and I did my education from DPS Arkepuram. Throughout my school life, I've always been involved culturally with many societies, and I was a president of the Cultural Society from 2014 and 15. We participated in numerous inter-school competitions at the state and national level as well. I'm also a classically trained Odissi dancer and have learned Hindustani classical music as well. I was also a part of the Western Music Mozart Choir, and which was an initiative of the Austrian Embassy. And we also performed at prestigious places like the Rashtrapati Bhavan. I completed my undergraduation from LSR, Delhi University, in the field of economics. During my first year, I interned as the market analyst at the Indian Economist, which gave me my first exposure to marketing. I was also the co-member of the Western Music Society in that college as well. Currently, I'm working as a freelance musician. I teach Western vocals and I also perform at various events and fests. So far, I've toured around Delhi, Bombay, and Goa.
That's very nice. So, Alankrita, you have been deeply involved in music. So, why didn't you pursue a career in music itself? Why are you going towards MBA?
Yes, ma'am. So, music is an integral part of my life, and I agree that it's definitely more than a hobby. But I don't see myself making a career out of it. Music has complemented me in various ways, and I will always come back to it. I wish to pursue an MBA because I strongly believed that the course will give me a dynamic learning experience, which will help me become well versed with the fundamentals emphasized in a B school. As we all know that the comprehensive course is known for providing the essential skills that will help me become a global leader in the industry. And personally, I believe that my academic background and other experiences in life have equipped me well for pursuing this course, and that the environment and exposure provided in the B school will help me multiply my network with like-minded people and magnify my potential.
All right. So, you said that you were a Hindustani classical trained musician, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, can you please name a few ustads in India for us?
Sure, ma'am. So I remember three of them right now. Bhimsen Joshi, Pandit Jasraj, and Begum Akhtar.
Okay, that's good. You also mentioned like you are a classically trained dancer.
Yes, sir.
So you must be knowing like about the classical dances in India. So can you specify them state-wise? Some of them?
Yes, sir. I'll try. So there are eight classical dances in India. Bharatnatyam is from Tamil Nadu. Kathak is from Uttar Pradesh. Kathakali, Kerala. Kuchipudi, Andhra Pradesh. Odissi from Orissa. Satriya uh, from Assam. Manipuri from Manipur. And Mohiniyattam from Kerala. Yeah.
All right. So, Alankrita, do you know how many colleges are participating in CAP?
Yes, ma'am, I think so. Yeah.
Can you please name them for us?
Yeah. So there's I am Udaipur, I am Trichy, I am Kashipur, I am Raipur, I am Ranchi, I am Bodh Gaya, I am Jammu, I am Sambalpur, and I am Sirmaur. Yeah.
Okay. And where is Sambalpur and Sirmaur?
Sambalpur is in Orissa. I'm not sure about where Sirmaur is actually.
All right. That's okay.
Okay, so now let us focus on your acads. So you mentioned you pursued economics in your undergrad.
Yes,
So
sir.
particular reason behind choosing an art subject and considering you have come from a science background?
Yes, sir. So actually, I did consider going for engineering after school. I gave the entrances and all of them went well. But I feel I mostly did those because I felt that was the right path for me. My father is from IIT Kharagpur, so I certainly got the right kind of encouragement and the push to go forward with it. However, after introspecting and considering my career options, I realized that I didn't really want to do engineering. I really liked economics in school and had always found it to be an engaging subject. So I took admission in LSR in 2016 and pursued economics. I feel that economics is a very dynamic subject, and there is always something or the other happening in the field, which makes the subject much more interesting.
Okay, so like I think you are very deeply involved with economics. So let us
Yes, sir.
test your knowledge of economics a bit.
Sure, sir.
Do you know what is linear regression, and can you give the equation to it and where it is used?
Yes, so a linear regression shows a relationship between two variables by fitting a linear equation to the data that we have observed or collected. One of the variables is the explanatory variable, the other is considered to be the dependent variable. The equation is y equals to a plus bx, where x is the explanatory variable, y is the dependent variable. The slope of the equation is b, and a is the intercept. Now, linear regression is actually the next step that we take after correlation. It is used when we want to predict the value of a variable based on the value of another variable. So, linear regression is commonly used for predictive analysis and modeling.
Okay, that's good. And can you tell us something about the law of demand, and can you explain the graph of it?
Yes, sir. So the law of demand can be called as the cornerstone of economics. It states that if you consider that all the factors are constant, the price and the quantity are inversely proportional to each other. So when the price of a product increases, the demand for the same product will fall. The graph of the demand curve is negatively sloped because both the variables are inversely proportional to each other and work in opposite directions.
All right. So, can you please state the difference between slope and elasticity of demand?
Right, ma'am. Okay, so elasticity is the ratio of the percentage change, whereas the slope of the demand curve is the ratio of change in price to the change in quantity between the 2 points of the curve. Slope measures the steepness or flatness of a line in terms of price and quantity, and elasticity measures the relative response of the quantity to changes in price. But they are not completely unrelated to each other. So, yeah.
All right, Alankrita. So, let's deep a little deeper into economics. What happens in an economy if there is an expansionary monetary policy? And I'd like it if you could explain that in terms of the ISLM model.
Right, ma'am. So the expansionary monetary policy is a macroeconomic tool that is used to stimulate the economic growth within a nation. There are three ways in which the it can be used. We can The interest rates can be lowered, the reserve requirements can be reduced, and the government can buy back securities. Now, the monetary policy does not have an impact on the IS curve, but the expansionary monetary policy shifts the LM curve downwards. Due to this, the money supply increases and the interest rates fall. Due to this, the economy moves down along the IS curve. And due to this, the interest rates raises the investment demand, which has a multiplier effect on the consumption.
Okay. Now let us talk something about inflation. So, do you know what inflation is, and can you tell the different types of inflation?
Yes, sir. So inflation is an increase in the price of goods and services within an economy, which is caused due to the imbalance in the goods and buyers ratio. The types of inflation, I don't remember them very well right now. So can you?
Okay, so I'll give you a hint. So there are two types of inflation. One of them is demand pull inflation. So like, can you throw some
Yes,
light
sir.
on it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, when more money is being spent than normal, the demand rises, and the manufacturers are producing at a lower rate than the demand, due to which the prices shoot up. This is known as the demand pull inflation. And the other type of inflation is the cost push inflation. This happens when the price level rises due to the increase in the cost of production. Raw materials, transportation, etc., become expensive, due to which this phenomena takes place.
All right, Alankrita. So there is one term that has been going around a lot, and that is called neobanking.
Yes,
So,
sir.
what do you know about that?
So, neobank is actually a virtual bank, a bank which has no branches, a bank that is entirely online rather than being physical. Neobanking provides a completely digital banking experience through mobile applications as well. They collect and analyze data, understand patterns, and try to calculate how their customers behave, and they create predictions, etc.
So, how is it any different from a traditional bank?
Okay, so traditional banks have a physical banking service platform as compared to neobanking. Traditional banks need additional overhead costs, which they collect from customers in the form of services like bank statements, bank alerts, etc. Whereas neobanks have few costs and they are much more transparent. They have either no partial or full banking license, whereas for traditional banks, a full banking license is required. Also, any approval process in case of traditional bank is fully manual, whereas in case of neobanks, this tedious task is much more easier and quick. Neobanks support relies on a combination of chat boxes and AI, providing flexible virtual online support, whereas traditional banks rely mostly on a person or a telephonic conversation for customer support.
All right. So that's it from my side. Do you have any questions for her?
No, that's it from my side too. So Alankrita, do you have any questions for us?
No, sir. Thank you so much for taking the interview.
Okay, thank you so much. You can leave the meeting now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So what you guys saw was my past year's interview experience. A thing that I would like to point out is that if you have an interesting profile and if you would like to showcase it to the interviewers, my advice to you would be to highlight it in the introduction so that you have an advantage in leading the interview your own way.
One thing that you must have noticed is that the interviewers ask some questions depending on the answers that you have given. So my advice here is that be aware of what you're speaking and don't get nervous if they cross question you.
Also, sometimes if you don't know an answer to the question, the interviewer might give you hints for that particular question. So even if you don't know an answer, don't get nervous and be confident throughout your interview. All the best for your interviews, guys.
IIM Udaipur wishes you all the best for your process.
Thank you.